capture the magic of local identity, but not be limited by that, and to think about how you could think globally in terms of your ambition. So we're going to hear how to think about that from three great speakers in conversation. So I'd like to introduce Valerie Bounds from Aurora, Shelley MacIntyre from BBC Studios, and Sue Finnegan from Liverpool City Council. So please can I have a big mad welcome for them.
Thank you. Hello, Mad First North. My name is Valerie Bounds. I'm the co-founder and I'm the Chief Strategy and Creative Officer of people-powered brand and marketing agency, Aurora. I'm going to try and show you a little bit about us, if it'll play. So that's just a bit of a snapshot of what we do at Aurora. We're definitely human. We like to think we're quite a lot dancer as well. But everything we do at Aurora is really built on one core belief, and that's that people power helps brands scale faster. That brands who mobilise their people, that's their employees, their fans, their communities, their partners, can win hearts and minds and reach in a way that no other marketing can achieve. And that can be a platform for all brands, but particularly challenger brands, to take on the world. So a couple of examples of how we at Aurora have done this. We're pretty eclectic in what we do, we're pretty broad. So you may remember in 2023, Liverpool hosted the Eurovision Song Contest in quite a huge way for Ukraine. And we saw an opportunity to leverage that huge media moment into a powerful act of solidarity with Ukraine. And essentially, like the crazy fools that we are, we tried to create the world's biggest global flash mob moment. We twinned up with an agency in Kyiv. We worked with United 24, with War Child, and just a vast array of partners, as well as the Ukrainian government. And we saw the community across the world, and that's, you know, from school kids to celebrities, to German rock choirs, to 90s pop stars and influencers, to Mexican orchestras, mobilize. They created and shared the most powerful, moving content. It absolutely blew our minds. And even more so, we tracked our global reach to 450 million, thanks to the international coverage that we received. And this really was community power, people power going global. And then more contextually local to Manchester, because they have an office here, we helped a much-loved UK heritage gaming business, Team 17, launch a new global group brand, preparing them to glow up on the world stage. Team 17 are indie through and through. Their labels and studios have their own unique, strong identity and culture. And of course, they have a huge fan base for their labels and their games IP. And that fan base, well, if you know the gaming industry, you're going to know that they basically feel very strong ownership over those brands. So we knew that we had to tackle this in quite a people-powered way. We had to land and launch that brand and bring the people with us. We dug deep with people right across the group. And we developed a name and brand that we felt really represented them, Everplay. We put the people into the brand in their words. We launched them from the inside out. And this is really our secret sauce, is kind of creating advocates from those audiences. Within months, we measured a genuine cultural lift across the organisation, but particularly gratifyingly, we also saw an immediate 15% share increase on the day that the new brand was announced, which was a bit of a relief. But that is authentic, people-powered commercial growth. But enough about us, because today I have the huge pleasure to introduce these two absolute power women. They're both from amazing challenger brands who are shining bright on the global stage. Shelley MacIntyre is the CEO of Brands and Licensing at BBC Studios, building fandoms around some of the most powerful IP on the planet. And Sue Finnegan has helped transform Liverpool into one of Europe's most powerful culture-led growth stories. From capital of culture to Eurovision, Sue has helped turn local pride into global power, with 1.6 billion in earned media and now a 6 billion visitor economy. Welcome both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Shelley, I'm going to come to you first, but to begin with, let's remind ourselves of how the BBC has taken on the world stage.
Okay, if you've got little ones at home, you know all about Bluey.
Oh yeah, now fans can check out the animated puppy's house at a brand new limited time immersive experience.
Excited.
We're going to climb mountains, cross deserts, and immerse ourselves in icy waters to celebrate the diversity of our natural world.
This is the hottest ticket in town. It's more magical on stage than it is on telly.
Nestled in the heart of Piccadilly Circus is a hidden, lush rainforest, and you can only experience it with augmented reality.
Woken up the city now.
So, Shelley, BBC Studios has gone hugely global, finding deep connection and love with audiences around the world through programmes such as Bluey, Doctor Who and Strictly. You are literally bossing it on the world stage. How has our quintessentially British broadcaster achieved such massive global reach and love?
Hello, everyone. So BBC Studios takes the IP that's been born from the BBC or the IP that's been born from BBC Studios. We're one group, but BBC Studios' role is to take commercial ventures outside of the UK. So what I love about the three brands that I'm going to talk about, Doctor Who, Bluey and Strictly Come Dancing, is they've all been born very locally. Doctor Who, Cardiff, Wales, Strictly from Blackpool, and Bluey from Brisbane, Australia. And they've all got a local grit and nuance to them, but they are all born from separate, universally relevant insights that we've then been able to take through the global distribution vehicle of BBC Studios around the world. So Strictly Come Dancing is now also Dancing with the Stars in 60 markets. Bluey is by far the number one preschool animation brand around the world. It's number one most viewed show of every show in the US. It's a multi-billion franchise now. And Doctor Who has also gone global, particularly with the Disney joint venture that we've had for the last couple of years. So I think what I would distill across those three is universal relevant insight. You can be born locally, but you have to have this insight that can resonate across borders and across cultures. The global distribution footprint, if you're, again, a local business, knowing what your path is to that global distribution footprint is critical. I always also think it's crucial to know what is your cultural impact in society as a brand, but how does that marry with your commercial impact, and knowing what your commercial vehicle is to then reinvest back into your brand to have that cultural impact, and it kind of is self-reinforcing. And then finally, it's really important to stay relevant. So what is it about your brand that's really timeless, doesn't change at all over decades? I mean, we're talking about Doctor Who that's over 50 years old. We've got Strictly Come Dancing that was first manifested on TV in the 1950s and is still going as Strictly Come Dancing today. And it's to make sure that you're reinventing all the time. So be kind of the timelessness, but it needs to be timely too. And I think that's what we see, particularly with Doctor Who and Strictly. They've reinvented, and then that's exactly what we will do with Bluey too.
That's fantastic, thank you. I mean, it's just amazing. And you sort of talked about how those brands are really forged in a very local way and have won kind of hearts and minds around the world. Why do stories with strong local cultural quirks often kind of resonate, perhaps reach further than content that maybe deliberately is thought of as designed for global reach?
Yeah, I mean, you can come at creative problems two different ways, locally or globally. Certainly what sets BBC Studios apart and BBC Public Services, we look for, particularly from British creative industries, unique, brave stories that spark conversations on the sofa and start to change perspectives. And so we tend to focus on, or we have a strategic focus on that creative bravery and how we take well-informed risk-taking rather than other organisations that may look for that global piece of content that we may interpret to be a bit more vanilla. We do look to tell stories that that resonate to a broad audience, but they're really sparking those conversations that you might not have had with your husband or family on the sofa had you not seen that show.
Yeah, amazing. And I think it just sort of thinking about that and how it does spark those conversations and how it really captures the imagination, creates kind of communities. I think when we talk about taking on that global stage, for me, BBC Studios, that it has a sense of kind of challenger brand. It's a bit rebellion, a little bit punk out there, coming up against those really big money global brands. I kind of love that you're doing this and that you've done that. But do you think that's the case, that it's been kind of that kind of rebellious attitude has been an enabler for the reach that you've achieved?
BBC Studios is definitely a challenger brand. I'm not sure I'd use the word rebellious or punk for the BBC, but certainly in the independence helps, and then being born from the Reithian principles of to inform, educate and entertain, and marry that with how do we move societies forward with the pace of culture. I think the way that we look at it is it's about looking at that independence and looking at what stories haven't been told before. And then for my division, it's really to take the essence of that, a bit like a research and development engine within a FMCG company, and look at how do we then take the brands that are being born and the fandoms that are spinning up around those shows, and take that into commercial ventures and build businesses of the future that haven't necessarily been born yet, and take the shows into people's lives in a way that they'd not experienced before. So you saw in the show reel there how we partner with the likes of Minecraft with some of the IP, or we bring live immersive experiences using new technologies. We're doing quite a lot with AI as well. So it's looking for those commercial ventures that from our independence we can be more creatively brave than perhaps if we're part of a larger global organisation.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating, and probably people don't necessarily realise just how far-reaching that innovation is and how you are getting into all these different spaces right across generations. So thank you so much. I'd love to talk all day, but we should move on and talk to Sue as well. So Sue, moving from a British broadcaster to a globally famous city in good company here with Manchester, but Liverpool. So let's start, if I click on, with a snapshot of why Liverpool is known internationally and has been glowing on the world stage for years.
Welcome to Eurovision.
Eurovision makes miracles happen.
It's unity.
Being here feels euphoric.
Big party atmosphere.
People of Liverpool are so friendly. The atmosphere is such a vibe.
Eurovision in Liverpool is just fabulous.
Eurovision didn't change Liverpool. Liverpool changed Eurovision.
It was kind of a no-brainer for Liverpool to compete. For us not to would have just been ridiculous. Everything that we've learned over the last 20 years on how to put on major events, they were like second nature to us.
There's a couple of things that we're really good at in Liverpool. We're really passionate about helping others, and also we're fantastic at throwing a party.
Genuinely felt like we were all one team moving in one direction and one goal.
I believe that it was done perfectly in a way that all Ukrainians felt at home.
Oh, Eurovision really was spectacular, and I love that Joanne was talking about how we know how to throw a party. I think Manchester definitely know how to throw a party as well. Sue, Liverpool's obviously is a globally known and loved brand, and it has been for many years. Why do you think that is?
Oof. I mean, at the end of the day, there's 800 years of history, second city of the empire. And if you look at everything that we do, even since winning the bid for European Capital of Culture back in 2003, it's all been about big, major spectacles, about creating an emotional connection between people and place. So whilst we do our kind of big major events programme, and the city's absolutely backed us in doing that, be it sport, culture, the Giants, Eurovision, actually on the periphery of all of that, you have four lads that changed the world in the 60s, changed the world musically, changed it emotionally. You've still got that music resonating with the likes of Beyonce, Billie Eilish, that, you know, all of these famous international artists are still singing their own version of those Beatles tunes. But also we have two Premier League football clubs in the city. You have Liverpool and Everton. And of course, Liverpool, wherever you go, and I never forget, 15 years ago, I was travelling around Thailand, and I was in the world's oldest rainforest, Khao Sok National Park. And we were in these tree houses, and there was no one there. And our guide had an LFC shirt up in the middle of Khao Sok National Park. And so all of that emotion that resonates, that emotional connection, is really what does it for the destination. So we can do our bit, which is fantastic, but actually you've got all the other stakeholders, and Liverpool made its mark on the world, also as a global port city. And what people don't realise even now, and part of our work in trying to tell this story, is we're still a global trade import city. 45% of all US trade coming into the UK goes through Liverpool as a port city. And so we're still trying to tell that story, but in different ways.
Yeah, that's amazing. I honestly didn't realise that about the port, and I know Liverpool well. I know the port's very active, but I hadn't realised it was that huge. So we've got incredible cities in the UK and spread across the regions. Don't all get the attention they deserve, but they've all got their unique identity, their own strengths. What could perhaps Liverpool share with those cities if they want to kind of glow in that way and reach a rainforest on the world stage?
Yeah, I think when I look back when we won European Capital of Culture, now what you have, which is 20 odd years in the making, is a model that is very unique. Not only is Liverpool, like Manchester, known for being friendly, people wear their heart on their sleeves, but also we know how to put on events of scale, profile and ambition. If you think when we won Eurovision, it was on the back of the invasion of Russia invading Ukraine. So really it wasn't ours to host. We hosted it on behalf of Ukraine. But we did that. We knew we'd had that opportunity, and we had to turn that round in 6 months. Yeah. Now, for a city to be able to put on a show like Eurovision did in 6 months, you know, it was the most successful Eurovision ever staged. Obviously, we had the BBC as our broadcast partner in that. But that takes 20 odd years of development. We know that when we bid for an event and we win that event, we as a city can turn on a show like that. All of those stakeholders, they're all ready, they're all in a box, they're all interconnected. And it's absolutely the power of strategic partnership that you can just go, right, we're ready, we can put on that show and we can make that impact. And I think if cities can create a model whereby they work together in a really streamlined, strategic way to a shared vision and shared strategic objectives, the power of that is immense. And, you know, we now have a 6 billion visitor economy that we didn't have back in 2003. So that shows the strength of that strategic partnership working.
I mean, it is just incredible. And, you know, I don't know if people here experienced Eurovision, but that 2-week period was just the most mind-blowingly brilliant, incredible thing, and for you to pull it off in that time was just stunning. I know we're getting a bit short on time. I'm going to squeeze in one more because these are really exciting times in Liverpool, and I know there's just these amazing initiatives in flow, like Imagine Liverpool, Abbey Road of the North, and Littlewoods Creative Campus. Can you just briefly tell us a bit more about the strategy for the city brand in the next few years?
Yeah, so we're looking at what are our economic strengths. So yes, we have the visitor economy, but now for us, it's about how do we rebalance that economy. So we know that we're now the most filmed city outside of London. It's over 100 million a year in terms of economy. We're a backdrop for New York, The Batman, Peaky Blinders, House of Guinness, all filmed in Liverpool. So we're looking at those strategic investment opportunities that will grow those jobs, grow that sector, and grow that profile of Liverpool on a global stage.
Fantastic, thank you. I know we're out of time now, but it feels like the centre of gravity is shifting. With events like this, it's amazing. The North isn't just waiting in the wings, it's already owning the world stage. And we want to see more brands do that. We want to see more brands glowing out there on the world stage, taking on the world. So thank you both very much for this conversation. It's been short, but it's been really insightful. And I think feel free to reach out to us and follow us on LinkedIn if you would like to connect. Thank you all very much.